Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new series that I am calling The List. Why the list? Because we're making a list. Seems
Yeah.
very simple. Uh, but before we even dive into that, I am joined by the host of Lights Out Trivia, Mr. JB3. JB3, how's it going?
Doing pretty good, man. I appreciate you having me on here. Um, what I'm assuming is the first
The very first.
edition of the list, and
You always
it's
remember your first.
today. Yes, you always remember your first. In fact, fun fact: my first CWT Workhorse Championship, I defeated this guy.
Well, thanks for that.
No, but it's going to be a great time. For what we're talking about, we've had plenty of conversations um, for a long time now about this guy, and we both are huge fans. So I'm really excited to bring my list together. I prepared all day uh, for this, and I'm really excited to see what our contrast, comparing and contrasting, see what we were similar on, and see what we're different on as far as where our list falls. It's going to be really fun. I'm excited for it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for coming on. Yeah, this is the first of hopefully many. You just whatever topic comes to mind, I'm just gonna run with it. And the first topic that came to mind, because he just had the new album drop a little over 2 weeks ago. I'm a huge fan of his. JV3 is a huge fan of his. Uh, it is. We are going to be ranking, as you can tell from the title, obviously. We will be ranking every song from the new album by NF, Hope, as well as giving some of our favorite verses. We each got a top five verses. So it's going to be a lot of fun. The way it's going to work is we'll go back and forth. JB3 is going to give his 13 through 11. I'll give my 13 through 11. Then we'll go two apiece until we have ranked every song from the album. So JB3, why don't you just go ahead and kick us off with your number 13?
All right. Well, my number 13, for me personally, and just a disclaimer, like we love NF, we love his music, and quite frankly, uh, pretty much all of his music is good. Like I would listen to this song, the last on my list. I like it, and I would listen to it multiple times and like it. But for my list, I was kind of going for what connects with me and what does not connect with me personally. So for this last one on my list here, it's the song "Bullet." As great of a song as it is, the place I'm at in my life right now, it's not something that I connect with on a personal level. I have before, I'm an older gentleman. I've lived a decently long life so far. So if I would have listened to this song and it was released 10, 15 years ago, probably. But the place I'm at in my life right now, it's just not something that I connect with. But it is a good song. I do enjoy, and I can actually appreciate knowing NF as an artist and seeing how he can go and take, for where he is at in his life and take a song and dedicate it to his wife. To me, is really, really cool. But for me personally, I put it last on my list based on the connection or lack of
Right.
lack thereof for me, my personal life. But Bullet is my number 13. It is a great song for anyone. If you have a significant other in your life, whether you guys have a family and you want, it'd be a great dedication song when it comes to that. So I really think it's a good song for that. For me, it had to drop to the bottom of the list.
That's fair.
All
Yeah.
right.
So what do you got at number 12?
Number 12 is another good song. I will say that one of the themes that NF has, even though with NF there's a lot of similarities, there's a lot of differences. His style kind of remains very similar. More of it evolves skill wise over time, I believe. Also, he takes everybody on a personal journey with his story. No pun intended. But there's at least one or two tracks on every album where NF has to flex. he has to flex. He's like, okay, I'm gonna flex my skills. This is one of those songs. Even though it's number 12 on my list, it is a great song. It is Pandemonium. Now the beat, the production is really good. You won't. There's not going to be many negative talks, uh, but for this part for Pandemonium, I compared it to the other albums that have flex type songs like Statement, um, like Returns, those type of songs, Layers, where he
Mhm.
flexes his skills and even in the dialogue and even in the lyrics he talks about his skills and it's great. I think that people should do that, whether it's to build confidence or whatever reason. But for me, if I compare that to the other ones like Returns, Layers, Statement, those from past albums, this one would probably for me fall a little bit short compared to those. Again, great production, great song, but and again, for this list of the album, the other songs just connected with me more.
Right.
And my number 11, I would say the number 11, it was really difficult. When I was first listening, I had this higher on the list, but the more I would listen to other songs, I had to like, oh, that I like that better. I like that better. I like that better. Uh, but I promise I still like this song. I'm not turning my back on this song. But no, number 11 for me is Turn My Back. Uh, just again, it's something that I'm not completely connecting with on a personal level. Maybe this might be the one song on the album that if I listen to, I tune out a little bit. Like I said, nothing bad to say about, anybody who would like the song or anybody who would connect with the song. But for me, it's just like, not going to turn my back on the song or the album because of the song. But I am going to place it at number 11 because there's just so much more that I connect with on the album.
That's fair. Yeah. All right. So those are your 13 through 11. Number 13, I have Suffice
Oh,
at 13. I like you said. I think there's not a bad song on the album. I think, and you could rank them 1 through 13 and be like, oh yeah, I get that. But just for me, I think this is I I'm not a big fan of the switch at the end. And that verse where he's kind of, ending one line and then finishing that bar in the next line. Like I'm just not a fan of that style. So if that was out of the song and it was just those first two, um, this would probably be higher up. But
yeah,
like that last part just kind of brings it down just a little bit. I think what he's saying in the song is great.
yeah,
Even that, like, it just seems so random, that part in the middle where he's talking about some random woman like claiming they had a baby.
you're right.
I'm like,
He's like,
whoa,
I
where did
claim
that
my,
come
I claim
from?
my DNA.
But no, so yeah, like I said, if it was just that beginning part before the beat switch, this would probably be higher up because I think it's great. But yeah, that last verse just, yeah, that just didn't hit for me. That didn't connect. Um, Number 12 is probably a little bit of a hot take
Uh-oh. Oh no.
because my number 12 from Hope is Hope. Um, I think for me personally, on this album in particular, I just connected with those songs that have more of a structure. The verse, chorus, verse. I think his hooks on this album hit. Like he had some really good hooks on this.
That's facts.
And I like kind of the story he told. I think this song is better with the video for me. I think the words along with the video it hits, but just listening to it, um, like I don't know, I'm okay if I start the album at Motto. And that's not to say this is a bad song, but um, no, especially like that end where he's kind of like arguing with his former self.
Yes.
I think that's great, but yeah, I don't know. Like again, not a bad song on the album, but um, this is yeah. I had and it could change. I as the more I listen to it, because I've listened to this album like way too many times probably. It could change, but um,
Yeah.
yeah,
See,
as of right now,
Henry. Yeah,
number
that
12.
is
Like I
wild.
said, like I said, yeah, like I said, it could be, but yeah. Number 11. So we're not too far off on this one because at number 11 I have Bullet. Because yeah,
Okay.
like you said, I just don't connect with it like that. Probably the way he wrote it, to his wife. I'm not in that situation, but
Right.
I really enjoy the hook on this one. Like I think the hook is incredible. And yeah, like the verses are good. The cadence it's nice. I'll listen to it. It's an easy listen. I think it's a great song, but yeah, like some of these I like more. And I connect with a few of them more, or I'll just vibe to them a little bit more. And so, oh,
Exactly.
Henry says it's his 13 too. So
Same. Yeah.
yeah, so appreciate you tuning in, Henry.
Yeah. H sir.
So yeah, now we'll go a couple at a time. So you'll give your 10-9, I'll do my 10-9, so on and so forth. So what do
Yeah.
you have at number 10?
So number 10. Now it's funny that you mentioned a video making a song better than what it is. For this one in particular, again, I love the song. Like I do enjoy all the songs. I could throw as many disclaimers out. I could listen to this whole album over all the way through. I have about probably 8 or 9 times now.
I listened to it again today before we went live.
Same. Yeah. So, but to me, the video for this one makes it worse than what it is by itself, and that's one of the reasons. Actually, I know we're not like rating music videos or anything, but when I first heard this with the music video, I was like, and so my number 10 is Motto. Motto. Now, I remember having this discussion with a friend of mine. I because we both agreed, we were like, man, Motto is not really our favorite. Not necessarily quite. There's something, especially after he dropped the video for Hope. It had such a different vibe to it, and he even mentioned that on social media. It was like it's not going to be anything like Hope. But I mentioned to him because after the album dropped, I don't even remember. It wasn't even after the album dropped because it was on Amazon Music and stuff, just the song alone. And when I listened to it in my headphones without a video, I was like, oh, I like this a lot better. Honestly, if I had the same vibe as the video, it might have even got lower than 10. But all in all, this does have a different feel for me for my number 10. The reason that Motto is there. There is a clear message in the song. And it does coincide with NF's, I want to say, his mentality on the music industry, I think. So I can appreciate that. But there's just a few parts of it where I'm like, I'm probably not my favorite. Again, I've listened to it so many times because it is a good song, but it definitely dropped to my number 10 because of the said reasons. And I actually have the lyrics up right now just in case. But we'll talk about lyrics, but yeah, it's definitely like there's a part on there that I believe is the beginning of the third verse where he talks about you might catch, or that's the cook. Got my feet propped up, leave my shirts untucked. I'm the boss, so what? I do what I want. I was like, okay, that's cool. And when I seen it in the video, I was like, that wasn't my favorite thing. But the second verse on this, I really, really enjoy. He's talking about buying CDs at the store, flipping through the cases. One man's inconvenience being another's joy. Like when he starts talking about those things, I do like it. But all in all, number 10, there's just a few no's for me in that. But number nine is a song that I really, 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 really like. We're already starting to get to the songs where it's like the only unfortunate part about it being last is literally, or on the lower end is literally because there's just so many songs that are better. My number 9 is Let 'Em Pray. Let them pray. Again, a great song. The production, the beat is out of this world. I really like. I had this, I had this up there, just because of that alone. If we were kind of talking about just production alone, the beat is killer.
Yeah, his beats are crazy.
Right, and I don't know if I never did the research. I don't know if he produces his own things. I'm pretty sure he doesn't. Maybe some, but I do know that he's always been really, really, really good at rapping along to beats that have certain vibes to them, like going to war vibes, or
very cinematic.
Yeah, very cinematic. So, but Let 'Em Pray. I thought that you talked about good stuff. Yeah, he's him and Tommy. He says, yeah, Henry knows. Henry probably knows more about that part than we do. But yeah, it's a great song. The hook is good. Again, it's kind of a cool, like, I don't want to call it a flex song in a way, but it's more of a, hey, I got haters out there, and they're going to tell me that I'm not going to make it. Well, let them pray about it and see what happens, because and I think it's more of a reassurance of his faith too, to say, like, look, you can hate me all you want to, but I'm going to be successful because I'm putting in the work. I'm putting this in, and all you got is words. It kind of reminds me of, I'm blanking on the name of this song. It's the one that he dropped randomly out of nowhere. I'm blanking on the name, which I've listened to the song multiple times. It's the song about the article. It's the song about
Paid My Dues.
Paid My Dues. Yeah, Paid My Dues, because he paid his dues, and that's kind of what this song kind of I get the feeling there that he's like saying, hey, I paid my dues. You could hate all you want to, but I'm going to be successful. So that I can appreciate that, but that is my number 9.
All right. At my number 10, kind of agreeing on this one a little bit. My number 10 is Pandemonium. Much for the same reasons you said. This is a, hey, watch me flex song, and he's got a few of those on every album, it seems like. I think Returns is probably my favorite of those, and probably like one of my favorite songs, period, by NF. His flow on that is crazy, and I love that he pretty much ends his shows before the encore with Returns. Because I watched a video on YouTube, somebody recorded like an entire show. It was from the Clouds tour, and he still ended with Returns. That's how good that song is. But yeah, no, it's just there's really nothing bad to say about it, but it's just I feel like with NF, he makes music that people can connect to, and there's really nothing in here for me to connect to. I can vibe to this song, I can listen to it, I can bob my head to it, but and I'll probably show it to friends like, hey, yeah, he can go. Listen to him. And this is probably one of those that I could show to new listeners and be like, hey, he's got some bars. He knows what he's doing. So
I see that comment. I got my friend bought some NF tickets also that I'm going to be going to the concert when he comes to Michigan, and so I'm right there with you. I could totally see him opening with that song. That's not a bad take right there at all. I could totally see that happening. because pandemonium is showtime. Like, yeah, I could totally see that. That's a good take right there, Henry, for
Yeah,
sure.
and I'm sure my if I was able to go see him live, unfortunately, I don't think I'll be able to for this tour. But um, my opinion on some of his songs have changed just based off the live versions. He puts on a great show. I've been able to see him twice, and then both shows were
I
killer.
haven't seen that live. This is going to be my first time. I'm really
Nice,
excited.
nice. Yeah, he puts on a good show.
Shout out to
Um,
Emily. Shout out to Miss Emily because she's the one that's bought the tickets. She's the one
nice.
taking me. So I was like, she was like SummerSlam or NF, and I was like, let's do NF.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be around 10,000 people.
Yeah, so that was my number 10. My number 9 is Gone. Again, not a song that I really connect to, but I think the hook is good, and I think NF and Julia Michaels, I think they sound great together. Like I hope they would do more together. Sorry, I was looking at the comments. I would no joke. I would actually not mind going to a Taylor Swift concert. I think.
Oh, nah, man. T Swift? Yeah. I could get down with T Swift. Shake it off.
But again, going back to Gone, I think it's a good song. I'm going to say that for all of these. It's going to, but yeah, I don't connect with it. But I think it's a beautiful song. I think him and Julia Michaels sound really good together. I think
yes, she does.
The hook again, hook game is strong on this album. But again, just going back to that connection or just something I'm going to turn on more. Gone isn't one of those songs, so that's why I have it at number 9.
Yeah.
What do you have at number 8, sir?
So I can already tell that there's a couple on our list that are going to be vastly different. But this could be a hot take for here. Like I said, we're getting towards the middle of the pack now, so
right.
There's not much. Like I said, this is a great song. In fact, to be transparent, this song has one of my favorite verses that we'll talk about later, but it's number 8 on my list. My number 8 is Careful.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm going to be careful with how I talk about this song. Yeah, exactly. Real quick, just to go back to what you said, I read Henry's comment. The same for me, and we'll get to that when I get to the song. But yeah, it's gone up more the more I listen to the Gone. It's gone up. But for Careful, it's the opposite. When I first heard it, I was like, and I think it goes with the trope of albums because a lot of times when you listen to albums, when you listen to the first few songs, you're like, man, and then you listen to the bottom half, and it's like, I am normally the type of person where the bottom half of the album hits me later than the top half of the album because it's just one of those situations where you listen to it. I don't listen to them randomly. I listen to them from track 1 to the last track. So I think that might be a thing. So like after like track 7 or 8, I'm like, okay, I've heard 8 NF songs now. So it's like, okay. But the more I listen to it, the more Careful, yeah, it dropped. But I mean, it's not a bad song. Like I said, it's got one of my favorite verses on there, period. And it's an amazing talk about hooks.
Yeah.
The hook for this song is the FTW champion, like quality of hook.
Yeah, I thought he was coming in with the verse when I first listened to it.
Right, and in Cordier, I can't pronounce it. Never listened to him ever. I've never, and that's one of the things I love about NF albums. Like you can get the mixtapes where there's Tech Nine and there's Hobson and there's these guys, you know them, you've heard them, but sometimes, like especially, I love when I hear a feature where I never heard them rap or sing before, and it's like whoa, like Chasing, is that like the song that he made with the Fan that he recorded?
Oh yeah.
Like I'm like, she's so good. Just same thing. Like this dude is, I am making it a point to listen to more of his stuff based on his performance in this one song. So like I said, yeah, it's my number 8, but There's nothing bad to say about it. It's really, really, really one of my. I really like the song. So yeah, number 8, Careful. Like I said, it probably could have been a hot take because I know that could be a lot of people's favorites because the production is great. The the flow is great. The hook is great. If anything, if there's only criticism that I would have, I'd want another NF verse. Just because we'll get to the lyrics later. But number seven is and one of the big differences between us. Suffice is my number 7. Pretty much middle of the pack for me. I really, really love Suffice. And again, I listened to it again today. What you talked about, what you don't like about how it switches up at the end, that's something that I really, really like. And I didn't realize I liked it so much until I listened to Layers. Now Layers is a bit different than what this is, because it is like almost like it's it's a mini song after the song. For here, Layers is more of a kind of a level change and a cadence change, and that was like a real flex song right there, Layers. But yeah, when it switches to the end like that, I'm like, I love it so much. And then I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, this is when he gets to that part of the song, the music fades out and he still keeps rapping. So yeah, and I'm seeing Henry's comments pop up here, and I'm reading them. The beat switch verse in Suffice is S tier rapping from NF for me. The first half is fine, but the second half is what hits for me. I have to be on Henry's opinion there with that. Like that, when it does that, I enjoy it a lot, and I agree. I guess it's more of a take on and some people it's for some people, and for some people it's not for them. Yeah. But for me, it was something that was great. Yeah, mid on the album, same. It falls right in the middle. So.
All right, my number 8. We're gonna go to Motto. Again, I think this is a good song that I can turn on and listen to. I think it's a good radio song, which is funny because of what he says at the beginning. But I think this is perfect for to play on the radio. It's an easy song to listen to. I like the second verse where he kind of does like an A-B rhyme scheme. And I also remember, back in the day looking through CDs at a store, and, I kind of like being transported back to my childhood or my teenage years every once in a while. But yeah, just an easy song to listen to. Nothing, there's really nothing memorable about it, but it's just a good song that if it was on, I'll listen to it. So yeah, about middle of the road for me. And then my number 7, I have Turned My Back. Again, I think, when he goes off, he goes off. I think, he's going after somebody in the song, and I don't know who it is, but I'd like to know.
He'll never tell you, never.
Right.
So
no, I like some of the rhyme schemes in here. I like the cadences. I like when he just wants to go off, he goes off, and I think he does that in the song. Again, nothing for me to connect to, which is why a few of these songs are higher. But I think the beat in this one and my number 6, which I'll get to after you get to your next 2. I think the beats are incredible. The production on this album is great. What I've realized is after my first initial listen, I was very mid on the entire album. I was like, all right, that was cool. But the more I listened to it, and the more like I actually listened to the words, or even just the beats alone, trying to like focus on that, like this is a really great album. This is definitely my favorite of the year so far, from what I've listened to, and I could see it being a contender for my favorite album like all year. It's going to be up there at the end of the year. So Number 7, Turn My Back. What do you have at number 6?
All right, so number 6. Now we're starting to get to the absolute favorites. We're above the middle now. Okay, I just read Henry's. Read. That's interesting. Okay.
Oh, was it?
I wonder who that is.
It might be Lecrae. That's interesting. Okay.
Makes sense. Side note: I love Lecrae. He's very talented. Never connected with him as much as I connect with NF, but I think with NF and especially this album and what we're going to talk about with this song that I'm about to list, is that, like I mentioned before, he brings his fans on this journey with him. You know, like there's multiple. I feel like when I first started listening to NF, and when I first started listening, it was Therapy Session. I went back and listened to Mansion, and then Therapy Session. But then every album that came out after that, I would listen to immediately, all the time, right away. And I felt like I could see him growing as a person, and I was actually growing as a person as well. Just from connecting with his music like that. There's been a lot of emotions that goes through myself while I listen to his music, knowing his story, listening to his story, and more. That's going to be higher in the list. I'll talk about that more. For this one, my number 6 is Running. This is a culmination for me. And I believe it is for him too. There has been multiple tracks and multiple albums where it is very clear that you could say that he's, and quite frankly, even one of the songs on this album that I'm going to get at later, he's talking not only to himself, but he's talking to his fear, his fearful side, that evil side, that negative side. That's the one thing. People could call it a yin, a yang. They can call it a, what you want. But that's one of the biggest things about this album, and the name of the album is Hope. Like his life is so different now than what it was 5 years ago. Now he's a father, he's a husband. He's found success. He has money, even though that's not that important. He's realizing that's not that important to him, but he still has these internal struggles that he has to deal with. And I think he's finally starting to realize that he can just leave them behind. And Running, for me, like when I listened to it, every single time I've listened to it, I was like, wow. And now, again, I will say I am a fan of different, how do I say, like, I can almost say a different genre type feel for some of the music that he does. And again, like we talked about, each album will have a flex song. Each album will have a certain type of, I believe a lot of his albums will have a song where he really gets in touch with his inner voice of a singer. He's an underrated singer, in my opinion. Yeah. Trauma, like Paralyzed, one of my, like, I still listen to that to this day, and I still get chills when I listen to it. This is one of those for me. Like, he'll sing and you can really feel his soul in the song. And he's, the song, like you said, he's running, he's leaving that behind. He's not going to be letting that part of him hold him down anymore. And I think there's a reason that this was track 13 on the album. If you listen to every part of the album and you listen to this song last, I think that was a lasting impression of what he wanted us to hear at the end of this album. So number 6, Running.
All right. What do you got at number 5?
Number 5. Again, it's one of those songs where the video changes things for me. To me, the video makes this so much better than what it is. It's a great song in itself, but the video makes it so good. And my number 5, and before I reveal it, when you watch the video, you're thinking, how does this make sense? And then you get to the end of the video and you're like, oh, that's how it makes sense. So my number 5 is, and also one of my favorite verses is on here. It's Happy. I absolutely love Happy. I love the song when I heard it for the first time. Now, when I heard it for the first time, I didn't watch the video. I actually heard this without the video. And then later on, I was like, oh, that's right. I forgot. He released this as a video with the album. Whoops. Forgot to watch it. And then I watched it and I was like, oh, wow. Because, I mean, everybody knows NF can make a sick music video. So,
Yeah.
the video itself gave me story vibes. Just because, I mean, for multiple reasons, we can always talk about that, like the main characters that are in the actual video. But listening to him talk about everything that, like, about this, it really resonated with me. I don't have the lyrics up right now, but we'll get to that. Like I said, I'm gonna get to the lyrics. Yeah, like story and like time. Yes, and yeah, and it's like I really like that a lot. And this really, it's funny. It's my number 5, and it's the track number 5, so it matched up in that sense. I noticed that. I was like, this is the 5th song that I listen to when I hear the album, and it's probably my 5th favorite song of the album. So it's really nice, and I really enjoy it. Happy is my number 5.
Very nice. All right. My number 6. Again, it's one of those. I think just the production on it, the beats, and just what he's talking about is like, hey, you wanna pray for my downfall? Go ahead, but I'm still going to be successful. I'm still going to keep doing what I'm doing. Let him pray. It doesn't matter to me. I'm gonna keep going, and I think this is a good motivational song as well. Like, hey, if people don't like what you're doing, but who cares? Keep going. Do what you're doing, especially if you're being successful, or if you're being. I mean, if what you're doing is bad, stop it. Don't keep going. But
Right.
if you're doing something you love and you're being successful at it, and you're changing lives and touching people like NF has, with his music, then let him pray. Let him pray for your downfall. Like he says at the end of his last verse, God's probably not listening to those prayers. He's not like, hey,
Right.
God, could you make NF not good? No, that's not how it works. But yeah, no, I think the hook in this one, again, I'm going to praise the hooks on all of these songs because
Right.
I think they're incredible. So yeah, I've got "Let 'Em Pray" at number 6. My number 5, I have "Mama." I think this is an incredible song, and I think this song, more than any song on the album, just shows the growth that NF has gone through as a person. Because if you go back to "How Could You Leave Us," it's about, he almost sounds angry at his mom, and rightfully so.
Right.
For leaving, and the way she left. And then this is more like a forgiveness song. I think for both of them, like he realizes that maybe there are some similarities between the two of us, and maybe I didn't see it then, but I see it now. And I hope you're up there talking to God, smiling, laughing, and hey, when we're there, let's sit down at a table together. I think this was a song of healing for him.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like, just speaking on the production of the song alone, and just the verses, like, I think his flow on this one is probably my favorite on the entire album. Just the way the verses just go, because I like it. I like NF when it's more of a faster flow, but not really, like, because you can still like understand everything that he's saying. But he's trying to like get in as much as possible, and you can still. It's very clear. I think "Mama" is incredible. My 1 through 5 could be in any order. This could be at number 1. I'd be like, yeah, I understand that. But it is because I don't have that kind of relationship that is strained with my parents. it's not the greatest, but it's not to that level. So like I can somewhat connect with it, but not to that extent. So I do have it at number 5. Number 4, we're fairly close on this one. Number 4, I have Running. I think this was an incredible way to end the album. Like, hey, I'm done running. I've got that hope now. I'm very excited to see what he comes up with next. Hopefully, there's not as long of a wait between this and the next album as there was between Clouds and this one.
Right.
Yeah, there was a time, I think, until the pandemic hit, that he was dropping something every year, and
Yeah.
that's what I was looking forward to the most. Like, he had Mansion in 2016, Therapy Session, and then
Perception, The Search.
I think he is an incredible singer, and I wish he would sing more on the album. And that's why I told you before when we were talking, like, I don't consider this a rap album.
Right. You did say that.
I don't. I don't. I mean, I don't know what I would classify it as, but it's not. It's like a rap / hip hop / there's some pop vibes to it as well. I think this whole album, I think, shows not only NF's growth as a human, but like as an artist as well. Because like I think we've known that he could sing and do all these things, but I think he just takes it to another level on this album. And Running, great message, great hook. I'm gonna praise these hooks every single time.
You should. They're really good.
Yeah, my number 4 is Running. I think an incredible song, great way to end the album. So let's see what is. Yeah, I mean, why not? I think my favorite songs of his are when like he'll either sing or rap the first verse and then just and then do the opposite in the next. I think like on Prideful, when he starts off rapping, gets into the hook, and then just keeps going. It's almost like sing rapping though, like
Yeah.
But yeah, he's just an incredible artist.
I'm gonna have to go through like a whole listen, like a whole re-listen, because we're bringing up all these older songs too. That I'm like, man, I love this song.
I have made I have a playlist on Spotify, and every time he drops something new, I'll just add it in. So it's like it's in order from like his earliest to his latest, and it really just shows the growth of him as an artist. Yeah. So, what do you have at number 4?
For me, number 4 is Gone. I know you had this lower, again, you have your reasons. For me, so just to kind of laugh a little bit, when I first heard this song, I almost felt like I had a CD player in my pocket because I had it in my headphones, and I had it playing on my phone, and I thought it skipped tracks. I was like, huh? Because with this song, it almost like it's one of the things, it doesn't like switch at the end, like literally right in the middle of the song, the whole beat changes. And I literally pulled my phone on about, like, it's like he trolled me. I pulled my phone on my pocket. And I was like, no, I'm not done with this song yet. And I'm like, oh, that is the song. And I was like, that's cool. But yeah, we talked about how Bullet wasn't necessarily something that resonated with me. Like I said, I'm an older individual. I've been through some things. And one of the things that I have been through, to be transparent, I have been through a divorce. A lot of people have been married and divorced. And I've also went through the process of, because we did not split in a healthy way. Some people do, some people don't. And I've went through my own process of growth, and me and this person now, she is still a person in my life. We have children together, and we're very close in the sense that respect. So when I listen to this song and I think about, it's funny, Julia Michaels, it's like there's almost like there's the guy's part, there's the girl's part. They're almost like they're almost talking to each other from a distance, right? I can really relate to that. Like, I have been through all the negative feelings, and and it's been a while now where I'm like, I hope her the best. And I know she feels the same about me. So when I listen to this song, it's almost like that is something I can feel on a very personal level. I was like,
Mhm.
that's really cool. And I I know that when people get into relationships, and I know that when it doesn't go their way, there can be a lot of animosity, there could be a lot of negativity. And sometimes if there's no kids involved, they might never see each other again. But I do believe that when you have that mentality of forgiveness and you can hope the best for them, um, in the grand scheme of things, I think that's a very healthy thing for your inner soul, because it was for me. Uh, and when I listen to the song, it reminds me of that. And it actually reminds me of my self growth, which is again talking more about like when I listen to NF, I can see his growth and I can hear his growth, and I can also relate it to my own growth. I feel like we've grown together, and I think that that's one of the ways that he relates to his fans, and why he has so many hardcore, deep rooted
Mhm.
fans who will listen to his stuff, because he's hit those levels of emotion within people, just like he has me. So that's for me, Gone, number 4. Very great song. Uh, Even through the trolling of, of the beat switch, but a good message all in all. Like, you know, forgiveness is something that I think is a wonderful thing in this world. So
Yeah, definitely. All right. What do you have at number 3?
for number 3, I have, and we've talked about this song a lot. Again, when NF, it's another way that NF can reach inside of his fans and like squeeze those emotions that go deep rooted. And for me, this is something that he did that for. It's something that when I listen to this, it goes all the way deep down to my soul, and it's Mistake. Uh, this again hooks. You can bring it up, and I know where this falls on your list. We've had conversations, but definitely is something that, like, when you have those, a dark side or a lonely side, or where you feel these feelings about yourself, and you can listen, you can throw headphones in, you can listen to a song, and it begins saying, um that sometimes I feel like I'm a mistake. But then the song, you go through the whole song and it's like, no, I'm not a mistake. And I think that that's one of the, I think that's one of the greatest things there. Like, when he can take you on that journey, that emotional journey. And for me, I mean, the connections there, I feel like it reached down and grabbed my soul and squeezed it when I listened to it for the first time, but it also brought me on a journey, and it let me in. He lets people into his soul, and I felt like that was what this was about. The 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 beat, or music, I should say, pretty much is just a nice little melody of good music. The hook is great, lyrics amazing, but it connects to people, and I think a lot of people will connect with this song over other songs because of some of those reasons. So yeah, number 3 for me is Mistake. And I just want to say this real quick. Yes, remember this, Henry. That's great.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up before we got to mine. Yeah, I think this is in my, I think, top 5, maybe top 3 of his, because and just what he's talking about in the song, like some of the, I think my favorite line that NF has ever said is in this song, when he says, "People change, even Satan used to be an angel." Like,
Mhm.
oh man, that
It's a deep line.
that's powerful. Like, oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Um, I even named one of my playlists after that song. I was like, I just want a good song lyric, and I was like, all right, that's gonna be it. That's the name of the playlist now. So, um, yeah, yeah, good shout. Remember this. Um, so we're on what, my number 4? Yeah, my number 4. No,
Number 3.
number 3. Oh shoot, did I?
I thought you went 654. That's what I thought you did.
I probably did. I probably my mistake. We'll edit that in post. Um, um,
Thank you.
okay. Yeah, we'll do that. Combination hook rap video for me is probably time. Yeah, no, that's a great video. And we talked earlier. NF really knows how to make some great music videos. Yeah, I messed up my number 3 because I skipped it because I already talked about running. I think I was just excited. My number 3 is Happy. Again, I'll talk about hooks, NF's hooks all day. This is another good one. And like I said earlier, I like when he starts off with one style and ends with the other. I think his singing in the beginning is great, but that verse where he's rapping is really good, and just the content of that is like something I can relate to, and so I really connect with this a little bit more than most of the other songs. And for me, when I was ranking this, like that played a huge part, with the exception of my number 1, which we'll get to in just a few moments. But yeah, Happy. So sometimes I get a bit confused. It's true, and I'm like, man, I haven't felt like this. Like what's going on? It's something's off. So I definitely relate to this one. The music video is incredible. He really knows how to make some. He's like he said in one of his songs. I don't know if I'm making movies or music videos. Well, I think you're doing both, and I think you're doing great. I would love to see. I would love to see what an NF full length feature film would be like. But yeah, my number 3 is Happy. So we'll get to your 2 and your 1. I'm very curious. I know what they are. I just don't know what order they're in. So
yeah,
what's your number 2?
So my number 2, I actually have it up now, and these two could be interchangeable. Now you mentioned, and I want you to put a comment up. I want you to put the comment where it starts with Henry saying Nate's growth as a human. Please throw that up, because Nate's growth as a human, not just a rapper, is most shown on Mama, and that's my number 2. Yes, it does hit so hard. I read that comment and I was like, I want to go back to that because that is so true. Henry was on the money when he said that. Now, this is weird for me because for you, you said that this did not connect with you on a personal level, like as far as the relationship you have with your mom.
Mm-hmm.
Same. Like when I think about my own relationship with my mother, it's such a different contrast. But one of the reasons this connects emotionally for me, and I can really get in touch with my empathetic side, is that a couple of my best friends in the entire world, they're brothers. They also both love NF. I have conversations with them about NF all the time, and their mom, she passed away in a very similar, very, 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 very similar way back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And I've known these guys for over 20 years. So to the point where when I heard "How Can You Leave Us," I empathized with, just because of I know their story so well, and I cried so hard, and I know they did too. We've talked about it. We've had Billy Davis, because one of them, the older brother of the two, I'm really close with both of them. It was one of the situations I was like, have you ever heard of NF? And he was like, I was just about to message you the same thing. Like, so we started listening to NF at very similar times. And then he said, have you heard How Can You Leave Us? And I said, yes. And immediately, like, to the point where I could not really listen to it fully through without getting really emotional. And I know a lot of it at the time for Nate, like you said, he was really angry you know, and rightfully so. And then you said that Mama is a song of healing. I did not talk to them before hearing this song this time, um, at all. I literally heard the song on my first playthrough of the album, and if I'm not mistaken, it might be track 4. So the first, literally, the first lines, the first few bars, just whoa! I was in tears immediately, and like, I'm an empathetic person. Music catches me that way all the time, but the only reason this was special for me is because of them. They're my close friends, and I know, I just know what that meant to them. And to see this guy come out here and put out another song like this, and it's almost like a complete 180, or if you want to say, like, so much growth, to be able to go, how could you leave us? But then to say, you know, did you make it up to the gate? And if you did, I wonder, was it a beautiful place? Did he put his arms around you? Did he make you feel safe? You know, paraphrasing. Did he grab you by the hand and say things are okay? Did he show you some grace, give you a pass and tell you he would carry the weight? Now, it was almost like he was wondering, like, and almost hopeful. Again, the album's called Hope. Very hopeful that, you know, instead of saying, "Oh, I can't believe you left here," it turned into, what's going on there?
Yeah.
And then you get to the second verse, and he's talking about how much he's empathizing with her. He was like, "I know how I am. Like, did you think that you were trash? Did you push people away the same way I do?" Like, it's just like, oh my goodness, an emotional roller coaster of a song, even if I didn't have a couple best friends who went through very similar situations. And then, of course, after I listened to the song and I'm wiping all my tears away, I call them and I talk to them, and both of them are like one of the younger of the two, he hits me up and he's like, "Yeah, I just started listening to NF." He was like, "Put on Mama," and 2 lines in, I started bawling. And I was like, "Me too, man." It's just, and I can't, to this day, I can barely talk about it, but I can't listen to this song without tearing up. And it's different, because how could you leave us is more of a sadness within me.
Yeah.
But when I have tears with this one, it's like, it's more of in a weird positive way. It's like,
Right.
you know, it's almost like a hopeful emotion that produces these emotions. And I think it is for them too. So again, saying that NF shows his growth within his music. And like Henry said, it's more shown on this song, I believe, and I agree with any other song. I think that for me, and hopefully for even my friends, that when they hear this, it helps them. It helps them. It isn't just a song of healing for NF, but it can be a song of healing for more people who's gone through a similar situation. And they listen to this and they're like, you know what? This is helping heal. And what a beautiful, beautiful thing. Sorry, I went on a tangent, but
You're good. You're good.
I absolutely had to.
So that means you're number 1.
Yes. And Henry's not here anymore, and I bet that he probably still feels and agrees with me on this one, because it's crazy to me, because there's never been an NF album yet where the title track, or not even the title track, I don't want to call it the title track, but the track that's released as a single first before anything, you know, like with The Search, which it was the title track, you know, like in this one, like these songs that come out with the album or before the album drops, the very first song, it's the first song people hear. For me, normally in any NF album, I love it, but then there's so much more that I end up liking more better. For some reason, and I've listened to Hope probably 50 times because I listened to it like 35, 40 times before the album even dropped. Like, this is the one song that really I can, oh my goodness, connect with. And just to be a little transparent here. One of the reasons is, and again, the favorite verse part is a difficult one, and we'll talk about that later. But there's something that he mentions a lot here, and it's 30 years. And with me personally, with my faith, I've probably spent a good 10 years that I would say of my life that I was like completely like really, really faithful, and like I felt really, really like I was there. And I'm 40. So him saying 30 years of this, 30 years of this, 30 years of this, 30 years of this, it's just like, it's like punching me in the face almost. It's like, it's hitting me on this level of like, wow, like, how are you the same as me? Like, and I think a lot of people, when they listen to NF, they can say those words, like, how are you the same? Because it's like you're reaching inside of me and you're pulling lyrics out of my heart and you're saying them. But the video to me makes it better also, like you mentioned. And this is one of the biggest contrasts, because you said Hope was your number 12 and it's number 1. But yeah, ever since I've heard this, from before the album dropped, after the album dropped, Hope for me was just this unbelievable song. Even the video, like most of his videos were dark and gray and not hardly any color. There's a lot of that going on, a lot of symbolism with the black balloons, with him wearing all black, a black hoodie, the black real hat, except for in a few songs he wore white, which in this one he was wearing white. And even just the setting, you were looking at it like a sun, almost like a sun rising. Like you could see the mountains and you could see the ocean and you could see color. And it was like, there's hope that this darkness that he lives in or lived in, he's moving past it. But the song is such a testament to how that darkness is still trying to pull him in. And that's why it pushed him back in the mansion. Yo, when I watched this video the first time and dude got pushed back in the mansion, I was like, I was like, whoa, hold on. What's going on here? Right. But if and this is something I relate with as well, not just the first part I said, is that when in the video, when he comes out of that, it's when he talks about picking up his son. He picks up his child. And for me, one of the things that's brought me out of a lot of places is becoming a father. And, my son is about to be 17 years old. Wow. So, yeah, he actually just went to prom. Shout out to Hebe Chillin, if anybody knows. That's one of the things I was like, oh my goodness. And I feel like all my kids, I know a lot of people could relate to that. And this song hit like so many levels for me. And I was just like, whoa, like this is unbelievable. And the very last line, I don't even have it up, but I can tell you right now, it's hope. He's taken back control. Actually, I don't think hope is the last line. It's the last line of that very first part. No, reins. He's taken the reins.
Yeah.
I talked about running being last and him running away from it all. But in hope, he's taking over. He's taking the reins. There's no more. Do you remember Intro 3?
Yeah.
Very similar to me, with the battle back and forth between him and his dark self, his fear, the person that's been holding him back. It was so much different then. It was like a fight. It was a battle. There was almost like, an even playing field. For Hope, I feel like this is the time where he was like, I'm done. I'm moving past this. I'm going to focus on the positive. I'm going to focus on hope. I'm going to focus on all these good things. And number 1 was my number 1 before the album came out, and it's my number 1 after the album came out. It'll probably be my number 1 for forever as far as on this album. I absolutely love this song 100%.
It's good. Yeah, like I said, there's not a bad album or bad song on the album. So, and no, I putting it at number 12. It's like somebody picking a favorite child. I don't know what that's like. I don't have children.
Right. That's a lot of kids.
But we go into my two and my one. My number two is Mistake. It's a very close between this and my number one. But yeah, no, Mistake is just a song I instantly connected to. After I listened the first time, the first song I wanted to re-listen to was Mistake, just because of what he's saying. I feel like this is the most relatable song for me personally. It's just something, yeah. And this one got the tears flowing. Not even on the first. It wasn't even on the first listen though. It was later on, like as I was re-listening. Like, man, this one hits, and the music and just like the piano and oh man, I would love to see this performed live. Like how he would perform this one live, because usually he's full of energy and he's going. So I wonder if like he would even perform this one live. I don't know, because I've never seen him perform one of his slower songs at either of the concerts I went to. But yeah, this one, the hook again, incredible, and the way after the first verse, and the way he just kind of lets it sit for a moment before, and he kind of repeats just don't call me. Repeats that a couple times and then goes into the next verse. It's like, yeah, all right. Now let me think about what you just said in the first verse. Like, yeah. Okay, now we're gonna get into the second verse, and okay, yeah, wow, okay. It hit me, and the only reason I don't have this at number one is because I think this is the song I connect with more. And I even said. This was the one I re-listened to first.
I thought this was your number one because
yeah. But now for me, it's like my number one. I'm gonna go back to this song first because it's easier to listen to. Like I have to be in the right mindset to listen to this one. Whereas with Careful, like I can turn this on anytime. I think Corday's verse is incredible. I think this rivals, Tech Nine and Hobson's verse from Clouds for me personally. And a shout out to all three of those guys for respecting Nate and not cursing in their verses. I think that's really cool.
Sure.
Yeah, like the beat, the hook, the verses, like this. I can turn this on. I can turn it up loud, and I can just have a good time with it. I love the rhyme scheme. I love just it's a high energy song. And yeah, it hit for me. Like I love this song. This is probably it's my favorite on the album right now. But like while I connect with others more, like this one just I don't know, it hits me, it gets the energy flowing. It gets me in a good mood if I'm feeling down. Which if I'm feeling down, I'll listen to this and then like, hey, let's snap out of it and let's get back. Let's get going. So I'll listen to Careful. I think, but again, any one of these songs, if you have them at number one, I understand. For me, it's Careful. For JB3, it's Hope. But yeah, no, like he makes music that is just relatable and what he's been known as his entire career. It's real. So
it's the slogan.
It's good. This album has gone up for me so much on these re-listens. It's hard to rank it. I tried, but now that's not even correct anymore.
I remember you told me you did give me a ranking of albums, and this was not on the higher end. And I had a feeling I had
it 4 or 5.
I had a feeling that it was going to grow. It was going to grow on you.
Which I think I would still put it at 4 or 5 behind, because I I don't know in what order, but it's The Search, Perception, and Therapy Session. But I think I would still have this at 4, but it's not like, but it's gone up. It's weird because his music is just that good.
Right. And I mean, to be fair, those 3 albums, it's difficult to, I mean, it's very difficult, especially Perception, because Perception and The Search, I mean, you could just keep talking about how good any of these albums are. And
Even Mansion, even though it's his first, like he's got some, like, Mansion is such a good introduction to like who he is.
Mhm.
Then I think Hope is a great like reintroduction to who he is now.
Yeah, like who he's become. Yeah, that's beautiful that you said that, because I think that's the reason that in Hope he fell back into the Mansion, because that was the true representation of who he used to be or where he was in life. And Hope is now like where he has moved on to, because remember when Mansion came out, like, you know, he didn't have a wife, he didn't have a kid, you know, and you could even argue and say maybe one of the reasons he doesn't drop so many albums now like he did is because now he's a father and he's a husband, and maybe he doesn't have time to put into the studio like he used to before he had those things, which is just logical, really. But you can just tell by the type of person he is and the type of person that he portrays with this album now, you know, that those things are really important to him. He wants to be a good father. I mean, he's mentioned it in his song, you know, he mentioned it in Hope, how he wants to be a great husband. He wants to be a great father. He wants to be a family. Even in other songs, you know, he doesn't want to be rich, you know, he just wants to make a couple mil and buy a house up in the hills. That's that's all he really wants to do. He just wants to have a good life and show his family a good life.
Yeah.
And without changing who he is as a person.
Yeah. All right. So we also decided, well, I decided and he agreed, to come up with the top 5 of our favorite verses from the album. And so we'll just go through these quickly, just a quick 5 through 1. I'll go ahead and kick it off. I have verse 2 from Mama. I think that one really hit me. I think that's the stronger of the 2 verses in that song. And yeah, I think, again, incredible song, incredible hook. But that second verse, where he's talking about, you know, his issues and like, is that how you felt? I think really hit.
Is that your number 5?
Yeah, that's my number 5.
That's also my number 5.
Okay.
Same, yeah. Which I could almost say that both were the same for me, just because the impact the first verse had. But you're right. That second verse where he talks about how like he's trying to relate. I just read that too. That's not a bad take right there. I felt the same way. I did feel like after listening to Hope without the album that I was like, oh, this is going to be this big optimistic album. But there is a lot of different vibes and feels that in different songs for this album.
Yeah, it was weird because usually he'll drop like a big intro, like, and Hope is a big intro, but then that second song is usually just as heavy and deep, and then we get Motto, which was very different to what we're used to. Because like you have intro, like going back to this first one, you have intro and then you have Mansion, which is a heavy song. You have intro 2, and then you have Therapy Session. You have intro 3, and then you have Outcast, and then you have The Search and Leave Me Alone. And it's like he drops these like back-to-back songs that are really, you know, deep, heavy, and this one it was Hope, and then Motto, which I think is more of a radio hit. So yeah, it was different, but you know, maybe that's his way of saying like, I'm different. Like it's not gonna be the same.
Right.
So, but yeah, no, back to Mama verse 2. Sorry, I was just
one of the greatest things about it is and we talked about how could you leave us? It was focused on her leaving, and just the beginning of the second verse. I look at the situation you had. Might have made the mistake of leaving, but it's making me sad. Now, if you ended there, it's almost like he's still where he is, but he continues on. It makes him sad thinking of you, how you grew up trying to cope with your past. Were you like me with your relationships? Were you pushed away? And you pushed away dad? I gotta know, mama. Did you think you were trash? Like, so he's actually starting to wonder, like, in about her actual life, how she lived, and that I could see being a very difficult thing to do after he went through what he went through with her passing like that. He was actually able to like dig deep into the emotion with it, with her situation, um, and relate it to himself, and it made sense to him. He was like, "Well, I have these feelings. Did you have these feelings?" So it's very powerful.
My number 4 is verse 1 from Let Him Pray. I just think the rhyme scheme, the cadence, I think it's just an easy verse to listen to. I found myself doing this. It's one of the verses I go back to. And yeah, I just think it's a great like lyrical verse in some of the rhyme schemes, which is something I look at more, which is why I think Hope didn't hit as hard for me, because some of that middle stuff where he's rapping fast, like it felt like he just was writing things down and like, this is what I want to say in the song, which is cool, but it felt more like a free verse than actual like rhyming. There wasn't much rhyming to it, which I'm not saying is a bad thing. It just, for me, doesn't hit as much. But yeah, let him pray. Verse 1. I think it was really good. What do you got it for?
Real quick, before 4, one of my honorable mentions was actually verse 2 of Let Him Pray.
Okay.
So again, I mean, like I said, there's songs that might be lower on my list, but there's these verses that are like, whoa. And again, same thing you said, the flow, the rhyme scheme is very, very good in Let Him Pray and what he talks about, But my number 4, that I ranked at number 4 was Mistake, verse 2. Verse 2. Because like I said, it goes more of him proving like, okay, I'm not a mistake, because I know that like you said, when you feel down, you listen to the song and it takes you to a place. Sometimes you got to throw on Careful to get you out of the place. I can agree with that, but I think that towards the end of this song with this second verse, I think that's the feel of it. It's like, trying to say, it's like, okay, like he says, I struggle with it. That's obvious, but not enough to make me second guess. If I die for the ones I love, so don't you get confused thinking that you'd bring me down. I'm just going to choose to let myself get used. I don't live like that. Like he's almost like saying, no, I'm not a mistake. So yeah, for me, number 4 would be the second verse. And again, I love the song. I love all of it, but that second verse really was like, man, very, very powerful for me.
Yeah, it might be on my list. My number 3 is his verse from Careful. Talking about again, it's just good lyrically. I think he's got a good flow. I especially love the end where he says, we talking about difference. I'm making one. Talking about risks. I've been taking them. Talking about dreams. I've been chasing them. Talking about lives. I've been changing them. Talking about family. Don't play with them. And I think that just is a good, look at who he is as a person, because his music has been life changing for some, and even everything before that. like talking about what he's going to do with his money. Like, hey, Dad, I got you. You want to retire? You're good. And, hey, Grandma, you don't got to live in the basement anymore. Let's go get you a house.
Right.
Talking about like, hey, I got this, but I'm not in it for me. Like, I'm in it for my family. I'm in it for my fans. So yeah, and shout out to Corday too. Like his verse is incredible. Like that's why I have the song so high. I think both verses are incredible. Mixed in with the hook, incredible. What do you got at 3?
My number 3 is the rap verse from Happy.
Okay.
And like you said, the whole song for me is great, but I absolutely love this is what I loved about Paralyzed so much, is that he'll begin a song with kind of like, I'm gonna sing this song, and then all of a sudden it's like, boom, he just starts flowing into a rap. Like, I love that, and everything he says about this. And I think honestly, one of the things that I can connect with and put together is with like the second verse of Mistake, or even maybe the whole song. This is another one of those songs, and it's like he's like, man, like I don't feel normal being happy. But yeah, I'm gonna take 1 second. I'm getting a phone call. It might be important, but
All right.
Go ahead. That's pretty much all I got to say.
It's funny that that's your number 3, because that's my number 2 is the rap verse from Happy. I think just the way he goes into it, been this way so long, it feels like something's off if I'm not depressed. And I think you could tell in a lot of his music that he was going through that. He was sad. He was depressed. And now he's finally at a place in his life where he does feel happiness, and sure, it can be weird, but he recognizes that he's there. And it's I think it's another verse of growth. So yeah, the song Happy is just incredible. I love the hook. And yeah, it's an incredible song. So my number 2 is Happy, and while he's still on the phone, I'll go ahead and dive into my number 1, because my number 1 is the second verse from Mistake, where it almost feels like he's singing but rapping at the same time, and that's incredible because I can't do both. I can't do either, and he can do both at the same time. I think this song just hit me so much, and this second verse, yeah, it's so great. So yeah, again, just to recap my 5 verses, I have verse 2 from Mama, verse 1 from Let Him Pray, verse 2 from Careful, verse 2 from Happy, and verse 2 from Mistake. I'm a very verse 2 heavy list here. So JV3 is back. So I went ahead and did my 2 and 1 while you were on the phone. So why don't you go ahead and do your 2 and 1 when you're ready?
All right. So hilariously, number 2 is Careful by NF, and I wanted to bring up. It was great what you talked about, because I wanted to bring up part that you did not talk about specifically. And it's like I was listening to like the whole thing, and I was like, but there's certain parts, bars that I'll hear, and I'll be like, ooh, man, like, oh wow, like that got me. And it's when he says, it's right after he says, I called up my manager, told him to get ready because this is about to get busy. This record is He said, called up to God, and I asked him, you watching my back? He ain't say nothing back, but I heard what he said. When you see how I'm living, the answer is obvious, ain't it? When you go from poverty-stricken and stressing about buying the groceries to not even having to look at the total, you've been blessed. And I was like, wow. So now we know that NF isn't necessarily considered or labeled, a Christian rapper. He could be. He doesn't swear. There's a lot but there's a lot of vagueness when it comes to that, and not in a negative way. I'm not bashing it, because I love my Christian music and I love my Christian rap. I love, But when he said that to me, I said, that's powerful, because there's times where people could say, be like, man, I'm talking to God and, he's not talking back to me. And NF brought up a good point. It's like sometimes it's not about whether or not you can hear or you can see, it isn't a burning bush with Moses or anything like that. Sometimes look at your life, focus on what you're blessed with. And that could tell you the answer right there. And when he said that, I was like, wow, it actually it almost like I had to take a step back and be like, man, like, wow, like I'm blessed. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at what you have. And when he said that line to me, I was like, that right there, I was just like, man, this is cold. This is cold right here. I like this. I like this a lot. And it was automatically, and I think that might be one of the reasons I had Careful so high before listening to so much and connecting with the other songs, is because of that. Like, man, this is one of the first songs of the album that I was like, whoa, like I connected with that on a high level. So Careful by NF, and no mistaking here, my number one is now sometimes NF has songs where there's not necessarily a verse breakdown. It's not verse 1, chorus, verse 2, chorus, verse 3, chorus, whatever. And my number one is Hope, just like my number one in the song. And to me, it's the entire song, because there's no break really. It's just one big long verse.
My number 6 would have been, if we expanded it, my number 6 would have been where like the beat came down and where you mentioned like where he picks up his son, like from there to the end, like that would be my number 6, that section.
Yeah, for sure. I that again connected with me. I love long-winded verses. I think it's a skill level that not many people can bring to the table. I think that when like, I'm not gonna say too many positive things about this rapper, not anything negative about this rapper I'm about to mention, but I think he was one of the, for me at least, for what I've listened to, one of the first rappers I heard to actually do something like this, and it was The Game. He would drop like the 100 bars, where he would just continuously rap and rap and rap, and different beats would pop up. He'd switch his cadence up, and at times, but he would never go to a hook and then back. It's anti-traditional for that type of song, and whenever I hear it, especially with someone like NF, who I absolutely love, it just resonates with me. I'm just like, wow, like that skill, and again, like with Hope, he switches cadences like about maybe 2 or 3 times throughout the whole long verse, even to the end. It's one of the reasons I love Layers so much, I think, because again, he just starts going off statement,
Real is really good too.
Real. We haven't really mentioned Real. Real was an incredible testament to his skill.
Yeah.
Like that, and I'm trying to think of the name of it. I want to say Warm Up, but that might not
Warm
be.
Up was good. Yeah.
There's so many out there, and
that might be another list for another time.
Yeah, for real.
the one verse songs.
Yes. But yeah, that was my number one for both.
All right. So why don't you go ahead and break down your list one more time? Your song list. So from 13 to 1.
So from 13 to 1, on number 13 came Bullet. Number 12 was Pandemonium. Number 11, Turn My Back. 10, Motto. Number 9, Let 'Em Pray. Careful was my number 8. Suffice, number 7. Running was number 6. And then my top 5 rounded out with Happy. Number 4 was Gone. And then Mistake. And then number 2, Mama. And number 1, Hope. Very close for those two.
Yeah. All right. And mine, at 13, I had Suffice. Number 12, I had Hope. A bit of a hot take. Number 11, I've got Bullet. Number 10, I've got Pandemonium. Number 9, I've got Gone. Number 8, I've got Motto. Number 7, Turn My Back. Number 6, Let 'Em Pray. Number 5, Mama. Number 4, Running. Number 3, Happy. Number 2 was Mistake. And number 1 is Careful. So yeah, those are our song rankings of the new album. It's been out, for a couple weeks now. Still going to be heavy in rotation for me, as I'm sure it will be for you. Because it's grown on me the more and more I listen to it. So yeah, JB3, thank you for joining me. Why don't you tell the people before we go about Lights Out Trivia?
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate you having me. First off, thank you for having me. I love having similar interests with other people when it is in every sorts of different types of genres, which is what Lights Out Trivia is kind of all about. You have a lot of different singular trivia leagues, whether it be movie trivia or wrestling trivia. Sometimes people do some sports. They dabble in a little different things. Maybe a little TV trivia, mostly movies for a lot of the community. The movies is a huge hit. So for what I wanted to accomplish with Lights Out Trivia is to take all those genres, wrestling, combat sports, football, baseball, basketball, TV, video games, the music industry, which is what we're talking about today, and so many different things, and put them on a wheel and format this trivia game where we can see who knows the most about, or who knows a lot about, maybe a little about a lot, or who's the most balanced in so many different areas. And that's what happens with Lights Out Trivia. We crowned our first champion, which you guys should know is Jordan Owens, JPO. He loves you more than you will ever know. Right now we have the tournament going on. I believe Jacob was a part of that tournament. It is the Lights Out Trivia Championship Eliminator Tournament. We just finished the quarterfinals. So we're about to head into the semifinals. We are breaking it down all the way to find a contender for JPL. And I will say that one of the coolest things that I am doing with this is that each round there's a new gimmick for the wheel. From the quarterfinals, or from the qualifying rounds to round 1, the champion slice showed up. And then in the quarterfinals, players were replacing something they don't like with their own custom slice. And there will be something new added for the semifinals. And I think it's going to be a game changer for the 4 players that are remaining in the tournament. So I'm excited. Check out Lights Out Trivia. Thank you, Jacob, for letting me talk about Lights Out Trivia.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you can check me out over there. I've played once, but I'll play again.
Yes.
It's a great format. I love it. Anyone could win at any time, given what the wheel, how nice the wheel is to you. So it's a great format. So check that out. Lights Out Trivia. Go subscribe over there. Check out the matches that are already up, and then check out everything we got going on here. We've got this new show. We've got tournament fights, tier ranker fights, every Thursday. Well, usually every Thursday. The Lonely Marks. This week we will be doing and another NXT draft. This will be from 2015 to 2019. So, when NXT was
great,
really good. Yeah. So that's gonna be fun. That's gonna be an interesting one. Austin Howell and I do a podcast about movies. We'll be going live this Saturday talking about an interesting foursome of movies. We will be reviewing Poltergeist, Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon, but also The Incredibles and the Lego Movie, because if you remember a couple weeks ago, we did a blind ranking. We each had a wheel. I had horror for Austin. He had animated for me. And these were the movies that were selected from the wheel to talk about at a later time. And this Saturday is that later time. So that's going to be a fun conversation. Thank you for watching. And leave your rankings of the 13 songs in the comments section. Let us know some of your favorite verses. And we will be back at a later time with another list. So for JB3, I am Jacob. Thank you for watching. We don't love you more than you'll know, because that's just creepy. We don't know you at all. But hey, be good people.